What I would like to do is basically just give a rundown of what IBSP is and talk about the relationship with digital world. And we would also like to give you guys some pointers on how to start a conversation with the business owners. Um, you know, from start to finish. That's really my goal for today is to get the start to finish. As long as we can get that, I'd be very happy. So basically, IBSP is a company that we ran into through the network marketing side of Digital World. Um, we've been working with you know a lot of different people, and just one of those things where you run into someone that is doing a business that complements your business, and it just makes sense. So with IBSP, we realized that it was a company that could get us in the door for what we do for the credit card processing side. Um, the credit card processing side is still what we like to focus on, but with IBSP, we can start the conversation and be able to pay you guys a hefty bonus on top of what you're already doing. Jim is an agent that actually joined up with us, and he's one of the biggest reasons that we found out about IBSP, and he is going to be doing most of the presentation today, and I'm going to just go ahead and hand it over to him and not waste any more time. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, there's probably a lot of new people on the call. We're going to keep this fairly general, but hopefully you'll have some questions as we get through this. So write them down or send them in. So what we have done is we, as Integrity Business Solutions, has partnered with Digital World Pay to provide a number of services to business owners, clients that you are already seeing. What we do is we add value. What we do not do is what you do with Digital World, is that you do merchant processing. Once they're a client of yours, then they can become, then we can branch out and add a tremendous number of other services to help them make money, recover, recoup, recapture, reduce business expenses. That's our motto, or kind of our goal, our stated reason for being is to recoup, recapture, recover, reduce business expenses that they're already spending. So we do this on a contingency basis. Contingency means we don't charge them for our services. If we're successful in reducing their business expenses, then we take a percentage of that reduction as our compensation. In the first year after that, of course, they enjoy the savings each year after that. So we have a plan in place, and the plan is, in working with business owners, is to impact every aspect of their business. Now, the amazing thing is we never really considered the services that you already provide with Digital World, and so it's a great marriage of two companies coming together to provide a really a full bouquet suite of services to a business owner. So we're going to go through some of the services that we provide and help you understand their application, how you can get in the door with them, how it impacts the business, and hopefully you'll see that it'll do a number of things. It creates happy people, of course, creates a nice level and a large source of revenue up front. And of course, we're helping the client primarily. So let me go through some of the services that we do. Now, we work with two strategies: cost reduction and tax mitigation. So we all know taxes are a big bite of businesses' income. So we have a whole program around that. And typically, though, where we start to build a relationship is to reduce their taxes and to get money back for them. So in some of the areas that we work in are workers' comp. We audit the workers' comp carrier to make sure the workers' comp carrier is not overcharging them. We we basically we review all of their business expenses. The concept, and I kind of encapsulate it this way: everybody seems to overcharge. There seems to be a corporate policy. I don't know why that is, but nobody seems to undercharge. And so when you ask the question, um, do you pay too much in property tax? People intuitively say, well, yeah, I am paying too much. What they don't really realize is they really are paying too much. It's probably more than their neighbor's paying. And about 80% of the time, we can go in and we can get money back from the government. We provide the legal work and everything needed to go back and and request a reduction in their property tax for commercial property owners, for people who own factories and businesses and so on. Um, but
Jim,
it doesn't stop there.
can I ask you a question?
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought of this and I don't want to forget it. Um, you said that you can go in and save someone money on their property tax. Would that be any business, or is that restricted?
Well, it's if they own their property.
Okay. So you can walk into basically any business that owns their property and save them money on their property tax. More than
We certainly will attempt to do that. We're like I say, 80% of the time we're successful. But we will review their property tax to see if it is in line with what everybody else is paying, or if they're being overcharged. If they are being overcharged, we can go in and get that reduction. Our typical reduction, our average reduction is 15%, which
great.
can be a substantial amount of money. I'm working with a client that is paying $130,000 in property tax. So, but what's great about it is that in that particular service, once it's reduced for until they raise it again. So each year after that, it's reduced. So they continue to reap the benefits of the work we do. And every time they pay their property tax bill, they'll think about us and say, well, thank God I ran into those people, or I'd pay 15% more,
Can I ask
or
another?
whatever the bill was.
I want to
Sure,
ask
go
one
ahead.
more question about that. How would you go into a business and start a conversation about their property tax?
Well, I probably wouldn't go into a business and this is a good conversation to have, is how do you approach a business about what we do? And whether that's a typical question, a typical opening question that one would ask a commercial property owner. Um, if a if it's a car dealership, I would I don't know that that would be an opening question, but it would certainly be a comment that I would make in the process of looking at all the other things we do. Um, it would
Are the
be
questions that you would ask like up front? Like if I walked into a business or any, I guess anywhere that maybe I know the owner and started a conversation, how would that conversation go?
uh, give me an idea of the business that you're on.
Okay, so you mentioned a car dealership. Um, let's do this from both angles. Uh,
Yeah.
maybe maybe walking in. Let's first start with just you don't know a person. You don't know who they are.
I don't know them, but I know their business.
Yeah, but you've walked into this business and maybe you've gotten the opportunity to start a conversation with the owner.
Well, let me give you an example. Right next door to my post office box is a restaurant. There's a space being remodeled for a restaurant. Now, I know they don't own the building, but I do know they're putting in at least $1 million into the space. I mean, they've got crews. They've had them there for months. I mean, it's just amazing what they're doing to it. It's a big space. And so, and I don't know the owner, so I would go into them and I'd say, look, I specialize working with restaurants and taking tax advantages of the um, work that you're doing in remodeling this space. I'm guessing that you're. Can I ask you how much money you're putting into this space? And they'll say, let's say it's $1 million. What we do is we do and so he might say, well, what do you mean? How can I help? How can you help me? That my accountant can't do. That could be maybe a secondary response. Um, I say, well, your accountant is going to take these write-offs over a straight line. Depreciation. We're going to do what we call engineering-based analysis of the work that you've done in this space, this $1 million, and we're going to divide it up into categories. Your paint, for instance, is going to be depreciated over 2 years. Your carpeting is going to be depreciated over 3 years. Each one of these services, the new sheetrock that you put in is going to be, and the wiring that you put in, each of those things are going to be depreciated over the lifespan that the IRS has dictated. Rather than putting them all together, rather than putting your carpet in with your paint, with your sheetrock and wiring and windows, we're going to isolate each one of those things. And the value of that is going to drive the depreciation forward into a big number. So instead of having equal amounts spread out over time, you're going to have a big chunk of depreciation today. For instance, let me give you an example. I'm working with a business owner, a commercial property owner that bought his building in 2005. He's already written it off for 11 or 12 years, 11 years of depreciation so far. Now he's taken the standard straight line depreciation. He bought it for $5 million. He put $1 million of rehab into the building, into the space, so he could put his business in there. And he's done a straight line depreciation over the first 14 years. We went in and did an analysis, and we said we can generate a $235,000 deduction today. Would you like to take it today? So that's a decision he'll have to make. Do I keep taking the straight line depreciation, or can I take a lump sum today? And most business owners will take it today, especially if they need it to offset other taxes. And so does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, I think it does. So, basically, what you're saying is, for certain businesses, I'm assuming this wouldn't be for all businesses. For certain businesses, you can walk in and, basically let them know that you can give them money now because of all the depreciation that they're paying. Like everything depreciates at different rates, and you're going to put those at the rates they should be depreciating, rather than like carpet, for instance. Only you wouldn't depreciate that over 20 years. You would do
39
that
years,
maybe over
right?
you'd maybe do it over 2 years.
Right.
Okay, and then you
So
give them savings of that
all of
back.
that you don't need to know. I mean, one of the things that we don't want to get into, Anthony, and I think that you're are bringing out a good point, is how much do you need to know, and what is the goal here? The
Right.
goal here is to uh, know, it's obviously know as much as you need to know, but the goal is to get them on a discovery call. We need to move them down, get our nose in the door, and let us expand out. Once we
Okay.
start interviewing, once we
That
start
brings up a
interviewing the
question that
client.
I would love to ask. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
I like where you're going with that. But I think the biggest question that a lot of people are going to have is, how do I get them to the discovery call?
On Digital World's website is a form that everybody should have. Print out at least one of the forms, or 5 or 10, but have a form handy. And let's see, how do you get them to a discovery call? If it's a commercial property tax owner, you start with I work with a firm that specializes in reducing property tax. Do you pay too much in property tax? Yes or no? Would you? We work on contingency basis. That means we will do all the work for you at no cost. If we're successful, we will charge you a percentage of what we save you in the first year. After that, you enjoy the savings from year two on. I'm scheduling a. I'd like to schedule a discovery call with you. What? Give me 3 days that are good. 3 days and times that are good for you, and I'll have my specialist get on the line with you.
Okay. So after you've stated those things, we have in the interface. I'm actually showing that right now. The cost remediation questionnaire, and you can what we're requiring at this point is our agents, once they've started that conversation, to fill out this questionnaire and then send that to Digital World, the support email, and we will set up the discovery call and then contact you as the agent. What
That's
Jim?
correct.
What would happen?
Right.
Let's talk about what would happen after the discovery call has been made.
Well, let's talk about what happens during the discovery call.
That would be even
So
better.
we're gonna discuss with the commercial property owner the property tax issues that we originally um, had had gotten the reason for the call, but secondarily and really primarily, we're going to segue into, from our perspective, we're going to segue into the cost segregation discussion, the, which is the cost seg study, which I alluded to with the restaurant owner. A cost segregation study is an engineering-based analysis of a building, isolating each of its components so that we can put them on individual depreciation schedules to accelerate depreciation. So, um, and the net result of that effort is a substantial um, tax benefit. Our average benefit is a little over $300,000 per building. We'd like to talk to you about that. So now we have done two things. We've got property tax discussion and we've had a cost segregation discussion with that property tax owner, or I'm sorry, with that commercial property owner. Um, there may be some other things that we're going to segue into. We may segue into an energy discussion, an energy conservation discussion. We have an energy department that does a number of things that is like everything that we do. It's a comprehensive program to reduce their energy consumption. We might have a waste disposal um, conversation because we audit the waste costs of a building. So if the property owner has substantial waste costs, maybe they pay the waste disposal for all the tenants. Who knows how that conversation would go? So these are areas now. The energy conversation is a high ticket item and is very applicable to hotels, motels, restaurants, that kind of thing, and also to car dealerships. Um, but commercial property owners are really interested in that as well. So depending on what their needs are. So we let the client guide us as to what they're interested in, and we try to make them a client. Um, I'm sorry, I sort of got waylaid. Where did we go from there,
Um,
Anthony?
so basically, at this point, we've gotten them on the discovery call. They've
Right.
talked to
Oh,
them
I'm
about
sorry. Yeah, you got them on the discovery call for one thing. We've opened up three or four things,
right,
and you're going to get paid on all three or four of those things.
right. So
And that's the value of getting them on a discovery call. Find the one thing that's their hot button, something that will resonate with them and most everybody, which is property tax, which is a cost seg study. Could be R&D tax credits. If it's a manufacturer, we do research and development tax credits that we secure for them on behalf of them from the federal government. We just a reminder that a tax credit is a dollar for dollar reduction of a tax bill, and who qualifies for those are anybody, our rule of thumb is anybody who takes something and makes something else out of that, they generally are going to get a R&D tax credit. We do hiring incentives. So if you know of firms that hire people, we secure for them from the federal government between $3,500 and $9,500 per employee, which the government gives to employers who hire people. So, these are the big areas that we can put substantial amounts of money back into the employer's pocket, and they know this stuff exists. They just don't know how to get it, and that's where you come in.
That's all really great. So so far, what we've done is we've talked to a business owner about just wanting to set them up on a discovery call and letting them know that we can do maybe one or two things, and then while on the discovery call, IBSP is going to talk to them about other possibilities, and agents are going to be paid for every one that they choose to do. And then after that, what happens after that? That's basically
Well,
all there is to it at that point, correct?
that is all there is to it. But what's interesting is, from our perspective, it really is halfway down the road. The other half is what we're trying to do is we understand that most business owners are probably 55 and older. And one of the things that they have not done, because they put a lot of money into their business, is they have neglected to put enough money away from themselves, number one. And number two, they probably haven't created an exit strategy. What are they going to do when they retire? How are they going to sell their business? Are they going to shut it down? What are they going to do with their business? So we have the largest business brokerage in America, and we're one of the largest retirement plans. We have our Integrity Retirement Plan is a proprietary product that is just a fabulous program for business owners. Now, when we go down that road again, the rep who brought that in is going to benefit from that, those two conversations. But what happens in that, and prior to that, is we're going to analyze their lending needs. If they've got loans on the books and they're paying high interest rates, we're going to consolidate those loans at a lower rate. We're going to try to save them money. Again, we're trying to refine their business practices, help them keep all the money that they're making, as much of the money as they're making, in their pocket. We're one of the largest non-traditional lenders in America, so we're not the B of A's of the world or the Wells Fargo's. We do everything. We do that and everything else. If you know folks who have a high rate, that could be a way to get in the door. I know clients who are looking for lines of credit. They can't get a line of credit from the local banks. We do wonderful lines of credit for people. So there's just a lot of ways to start a conversation. This is you folks now are in a position to go to a cocktail party, and when they ask you what you do, you can actually be, you can say we help businesses recover, recapture, reduce business expenses. We help them save tax money. We help people. We put money in people's pockets. We do that for a living. What do you do?
I've actually pulled up on the screen here the overview, just so you guys that want to do a little bit more digging can. It's called the Cost Remediation Overview, and it's got a lot of the different things that IBSP offers. So if you wanted to educate yourself a little bit on that, you could read through this overview, and that'll probably give you some ideas in yourself on how you might want to approach certain people. I think the biggest thing here is not to get too caught up in all of the details, and really just starting the conversation. It's really the biggest thing that I want to see out there, is people just starting the conversation about cost remediation. and then once they get an interested party, filling out the questionnaire and then sending that to Digital World, and then moving that person to a discovery call. And then at that discovery call, we're going to find out whether or not we can, do anything for that business owner. I mean, 90% of the time or more, it's going to be a yes. So, I mean, this is what's really important about this is you're not just starting the discovery call, you're getting your foot in the door. And once your foot's in the door, they may do, let's say they do cost segregation, and then a year later they may want to do workers comp audit, or maybe that same year they want to change their credit card processing, and you've already saved them money or put money in their pocket, so they're going to listen. And that's the biggest point that I can make here. um, I think that another thing that we need to think about is the fact that you're going to be paid for not just the efforts of what you do, you're going to get paid for your downline. So it's important that you guys are getting merchant accounts in the meantime, but this is a great way to get in the door to get a merchant account if you haven't gotten any already.
It absolutely is, because when you put money in their pocket, they're going to listen to you in a lot of other areas. So you can, if you get the merchant account immediately, then that's fantastic. But if they say, oh, I'm under contract for the next 6 months, I can't do any, I can't move right now, but come back in 6 months, you can say, well, we do some other things, and start those other conversations that we've been having, and then come back in 6 months and get their merchant processing. Now, you know, it's a way for you never to have to walk away from a client, from a business owner. We do a lot of work with restaurants. I know restaurants are very popular with merchant processing. So we do a lot of work with restaurants, hotels, motels, car dealerships, funeral homes. We're working with funeral homes for some reason. I don't know why, but you know, great opportunities there.
Hey, this is Dave Daniels. I
Hi,
just
Dave.
also want to, hey, how's it going?
Good.
So I just wanted to add in something real quick about this product and how important it is for you to educate your downline and your agents that are underneath you about these products, because the payout on this, any level, all the way to the seventh level, can be a huge amount of money. And that's why it's really important to reach out to your agents and your downline and educate them on this, show them how to do this, and you're going to see a huge return on this. So that's all I wanted to say. Reach out to your agents and point them in this direction.
Thanks, David. That's a great point. Um, that's. I mean, like he said, any level. We're talking. I don't like giving numbers for this because it's so all over the board, but it's very possible that you guys could be putting, a substantial amount of money in your own pocket. And I mean, if you're unlocking your levels and you've gotten down to 7 levels, I mean, you just have more chances of that happening. So I mean, it all makes sense together. Imagine being paid. Let's say you get paid $5,000 for something you just didn't even have anything to do with. I mean, just imagine the possibilities. It's amazing when you really think about it.
Yeah, and that's very possible too. Someone in your levels, who knows how deep it is, could really hit a really big opportunity with this product, and you could get a huge payout over that. So I just want to encourage people not to get so caught up on what you get paid on your personal level, and think about the big picture. So that's why I brought this up in the first place. I just want you to reach out to those agents so that you can benefit all the way down.
Absolutely. You know we had the head of the business brokerage division discussing with us one of the things that he does as well is we're one of the largest franchisors in America. So we do franchising a little differently than most other people. But if you're in your community and you see a restaurant that has 2 or 3 locations, ask them if they've ever thought about franchising. And if they have, uh, let's get them on the phone, get them on a discovery call. We'll get them with the head of our department. We've already had one of those calls, and talk about the process of how we would franchise. But I bring that up as an aside because he was saying that 18% of every in every community, 18% of the businesses that you will walk by every day are for sale. That's almost 20% of every business in every community is for sale. It's 18% of every all businesses in every community is for sale. Now, let's say a business sells for $1 million. The commission on $1 million for is 6 figures. Now that's just the commission. That doesn't count the exit strategy that we put in place before we sold the business, and it also doesn't count the loan that we're going to provide for the new buyer of the business. So I mean, there's just to Dave's point, there's huge money here. The exit strategy is a 6-figure, proposition for people. The new loan that comes into place is probably a 5-figure compensation. So and that's only just a few of our services. We skipped over, all the other stuff, but those are large compensation numbers. And why this is a good match is because of that very fact that we provide a lot of upfront compensation, and Digital World provides a lot of ongoing, consistent, every month in and month out compensation. And that's the ideal business, is you get supported in both ways. So it really gives you the opportunity to build a business.
Great point. Great point. All right, I think it's time that we should probably start opening this up for Q&A. I'm sure people have questions at this point.
Okay. I have a couple questions. This is
Go
Jeff.
Ahead. Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, one question I got from somebody yesterday was they've been approached before with some kind of studies like this before, but it was always a fee basis. And one comment, he's never gone with it, and he liked the contingency idea, but he asked how much time is involved for him as the owner. Is he going to be involved up to his ears and
No.
weeks or what?
No. The first part of the process is determine how much value we can bring to him. That will take maybe what we need to see is some tax returns so that we can estimate what's been done and what we can do. How is it set up now? What's the cost basis and so on. After that, maybe 2-3 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
one other question I had was, how long does the process take? I know it probably depends on which area you're looking at, but
doesn't take long. If we're doing a cost seg study, it could take as little as a week if everybody moves. Property tax is different because each state is different. For instance, in Florida, you can't appeal property taxes except once a year, and some other states are like that. So it depends on when you going after property tax, the communities that set that up have to set their own laws. So you just have to live with them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sorry, I just had my tonsils removed yesterday, so it's quite difficult to talk. In terms of the cost remediation, so I used to market for direct energy. It's the electricity and gas billing. So I kind of know that market. Would you say approaching a business with like that that direct of an approach would be beneficial for me, or would it come across as two salesmen?
Well, what we uh, I think I've always encouraged people to do is look at your relationships and start with one rather than to say, well, how am I going to approach a stranger? Let's approach somebody who's friendly, who owns a
Mm-hmm.
business that we can help.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a current client, or if you've approached somebody in the past and you're comfortable with them and they're comfortable with you, let's work with that one client and see what we can do for them, and then branch out from there. We'll all learn a lot. Every time we hear a presentation, we learn more, and so I think that rather than ask the question, how am I going to talk to a stranger? Let's ask, how are we going to approach somebody, that we're comfortable with and get them to a discovery call. And that's
Yeah.
where we want them to be.
So our
So
main goal
if it's
is to build
around energy, if you know people in the energy world, then let's get them to a discovery call around energy.
Mm-hmm. And so the goal is just to get the discovery call set up, right?
Right.
Um,
Get 2 or 3 times from them that we can meet with, that we can have a call. We'll have a conference call with them and talk about what we do.
and then this is monthly pay.
Monthly pay.
No,
Residual?
it's
No,
gonna be
this would be
no.
set
There,
up different.
I think there may be like one thing that they offer that's considered residual, and I'm pretty sure that's um, something to do with pharmacies. Am I correct, Jim?
I missed that.
He's asking if
I'm
it's
not quite sure what you
residual,
mean, but
like if the pay is residual, and I said no, but I think there's only one thing that would be.
around energy? Are we
No,
talking about energy?
just in general. Is there
Oh,
any
in
of them?
general.
Yeah, is there any of them that offer
Yeah.
residual?
Well, the R&D tax credits are a yearly thing. There are some things that are yearly, but most things are one time. Yes, that's correct. The reason I was confused about the energy is that it seemed to me that there were some businesses out there that were selling energy, reduction programs, and then you got a piece of their energy usage or something. So I was confused about that.
Is this a bad time to ask a few questions about agents, or should I
Agents.
say that for Tuesday?
What
Just say
if
in
it's not
terms of
related? I would ask that if it's not related to cost remediation, we save that for the next Q&A.
all right,
This is going to be, for Jim's time as well. So I just want to make sure that we're getting full use of him.
all right.
Or if you want, you can just give us a
Uh,
call afterward.
Type it in.
Jim, I have one question, and I think I haven't been on a call here for a little bit here, but I just want to get verification on what's available for the Canadian market. I think last time you had mentioned that you have a business partner that is in your fold that's in Calgary. But my question is that just in Calgary? Is it all of Alberta, Western Canada? Kind of what's the scope of the services that you provide to Canadian agents?
Well, in terms of the business brokerage, the franchising, the lending, that sort of thing is all throughout all of Canada. That's a
Okay, and what
worldwide
about
effort.
the rest of it? The
I'll,
cost remediation that's
I'll
offered.
tell you what, Del. I'm gonna find out exactly what's offered, and I will email that to you. Is that okay?
That's fine, yeah, because we need to get it out to again. My again, not my concern. If we're talking, and then we're two different things here, right? Obviously, this is really more focused in the United States, but we do need to know if this is even something we should be talking about in general for us up in Canada.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely understand. I just want to.
Okay,
I'll
fair enough.
find out for you, and rather than going through all the things that they offer.
Yeah, that's fine. Because that sheet that you brought up in the presentation that has all the stuff that they do, IBSP does in the United States. What is that? look like for Canada, that would be great. So yeah, if you can email that to me, and then I'll let our Canadian side know for sure.
Yep, got you covered.
Thank you. Awesome, thanks.
You're welcome. Well, good. I love questions.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to give it one more second.
Oh, well, this is Barb. Hi, Anthony and Jim and everybody. Is there going to be the app ready pretty soon?
Hey, Barb, I'll take this one. The app we weren't planning on offering to the agents, mainly because the cost is pretty high every month, and that's not something that we wanted to offer. That it kind of goes against the idea of no monthly dues and things like that. So if that's something you're interested in, maybe I'll have a conversation with you outside of the Q&A.
Okay, well, we just got some questions on it because it had been mentioned earlier, but that's fine.
Okay.
I got a quick question, Anthony.
Yeah.
When we're approaching some business owners, is it good to go to get the business owner via the comptroller? Because some of the businesses that we're looking at are bigger businesses. So are we able to do any of this paperwork or start a conversation with them via the phone call with the comptroller as opposed to the owner?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so when I fill out this cost remediation
It'd be
form,
better. It would certainly be better with the owner. The owner is going to know. Of course, he's the owner, so he's going to have more information. But certainly would.
Well,
be
not
better with the
always.
owner.
Sometimes the owner won't.
Sometimes the owner won't.
You can't get to the owner until you go through the.
Yeah, you can't even get to the
that's
owner
true.
unless you go
Absolutely.
via the comptroller. Has been my
Yep, no, I
experience
gotcha.
a lot of times.
Sometimes that's true.
So, if I can sit down with the comptroller and get you guys on one of these discovery calls, and on the discovery call, we can say, hey, we're going to be able to save you X amount. Then they're able to, present to the owner.
Ooh.
Cool. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I mean, to me, that seems to be the way that with bigger businesses, that's kind of the way we might be able to go.
Yep, you're right.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was, that was kind of a doable approach, because if I, from a legal standpoint, can you talk to the comptroller? Does it have to be the owner? Does it have to, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's say you get an owner to be interested in one of the itemized areas where they could save some money, and let's say they execute like the payroll tax audit or whatever, and then let's say everything's going smooth, and then 2 years later they contact you directly again. Now, does that automatically fall back into your line, or do you have to keep in touch with them, or is anything that further develops from that same business years later, even though you may not have direct contact with them? Does that show up on your commissions?
Is that a question to me?
Yes.
It's your client, so it will always be your client.
Okay, so even years down the road, if for some reason you're not in touch with them, but someone else at that client calls back and says, oh, no, now I'm interested in merchant card, and you weren't spearheading it 2 years later, that whatever business develops from that, it hits your downline.
Well,
that I don't know about.
What I would say, Jim, what I would say about that is it depends on what they're. I guess if it's something like the credit card processing that they're interested in afterward, we would contact you. I mean, we're gonna know because we're gonna be contacted for it. If we're not contacted for it, I mean, that I'm gonna have to ask Jim. I don't really know what the answer for that would be.
Yeah, just if they run into another agent, that's what I'm saying. Who's also doing something like that.
Oh no, they would still be your client, like he said. We wouldn't be giving credit to
Yeah.
another agent.
Absolutely.
So let's just say 2 years down the road, he's already done the payroll audit or the depreciation. He's happy with it. For whatever reason, you're not available. He forgets to call you. He just calls in directly to
Digital world.
or and
Yeah.
he says, oh, by the way, now I'm interested in doing the merchant account.
We would make sure
if
that
I'm
you were the agent that was compensated.
Yeah. Or let's say they want to do another thing on this checkered list of things. They want to do the equipment lease audit. You know, and it's not Digital World Pay. It's the other company. Is that something? And then
That's where I would have to ask Jim if they're contacting Digital World. I mean, we're always going to make sure that you are the agent. If they're contacting IBSP, I don't know how every
Well,
single.
they're never going to. I don't think they're going to contact IBSP.
Okay.
They're always going to contact Digital.
Because there's okay.
We're
so
going to
so-
find out. We're going to find out where they're coming from anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Well, regardless of how you find out, if they add something down the road years later, does the it's
Yeah. I mean,
add,
Jim basically just answered the question by saying they're always going to contact Digital World. If they're contacting us, we're going to make sure that you're the agent that's getting paid.
okay. Even though we may not be aware that a new revenue is coming in, we'll be updated
Right.
that it is.
Yep.
Which would be a good opportunity to go back in face to face and say, oh, by the way, you've done now 2 of our 18 things. Would you like be interested in numbers 12, 14, and 18? You know,
Yeah.
they pick up some
Exactly.
more. All right.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
And let me ask one other thing. And if people are sending international transactions, let's say they're doing business overseas, you're able to do the card processing in other countries, or just this is basically just United States?
That depends on what you're talking about. So, if they're doing, say they're doing like online and people from other countries are purchasing, but the business is based in the United States, then we're fine. But as far as I know, the only countries that we are currently working out of are Canada and the United States. So if it's not within one of those two, then I'm not sure. I mean, we may in the future have more, but for right now, it's going to be just within the two. If the business owner owns a business that's not in the United States or Canada, then I can't give you a definitive yes or no.
Okay. No, the reason I'm asking is I'm working with a candy factory in Northwest Indiana, and they ship throughout the whole United States, but they also may be shipping into Mexico or the Caribbean countries or Canada. So
Then
as
that
long
should
as the
not be a
payments are
problem.
coming in.
Yeah,
All right.
that should be fine.
All right. That sounds good.
That candy factory would be fantastic for us.
Well, I know it's
could
the
save
Albany's.
We could
Yeah,
save
what-
that
what
guy
about it?
millions.
Yeah, no. One of my businesses, we're providing them with about $1.5 million worth of new high bay lights and wash down fixtures and sky pipes and a monitoring system for their factory. They're adding on a 200,000 square foot facility to their 125,000 existing factory. We're about a third of the way through the project, and we're also in the billboard business. So they asked me to quote out some billboards and change their on-premise backlit can. But the opportunity is I'm waiting for the perfect opportunity to sit down because it's family owned, and I'm dealing with one of the daughters of the owner to find the perfect opportunity to say, okay, you guys have now spent $1.5 million with me for lighting. You trusted me to do your on-premise signage. You bought some billboards for me. I'd sure love to have an opportunity to maybe expose you to some other cost savings you may not be aware of. And if I could get the foot in the door at the appropriate right time on a soft approach, since I'm already a proven vendor of theirs, that's when I would love to bring this client to this organization to say, is there anything else we could help you with? Because as they expand from 125,000 square foot to 325,000 square foot, it's metal to the pedal to the metal. As far as they're going to want to be able to take advantage of every additional cost savings there is.
Absolutely. I mean, just hiring incentives. If they're not getting, I'm sure they're hiring people.
Yeah.
So for every person that they hire, I don't know if they're getting that kind of money for every person they hire from the government, but they should be. For the
Yeah.
R&D tax credits, the R&D tax credits probably in the millions of dollars for them.
Yeah, something that just happened recently is they overhired some people and they had to let some people go at the retail store, and they had to base it on a decision. So they went through all the employees and and everyone was good. So they had to decide, well, who took days off that maybe shouldn't have taken a day off for whatever reason, and that was the mark against them to get rid of some. But no, this organization is growing by leaps and bounds, and in the next few months. They're trying to get one of their 5 new kitchens operational. This is going to continue on for the next year and a half. So I'm looking for the perfect opportunity to sit down with them and get the card and the information into them, and hopefully they fill it out and it leads to something. Another business that we're working with in Northwest Indiana is Luke Oil. They have 35 convenience stores and a couple other businesses, and they're just bought another franchise or gas station chain out of Indianapolis, Thornton's, that has 215. So by the end of this year, they're going to have about 250 retail gas station mini marts underneath their belt, and we're working with them to be their retro light company to change out all of their lights.
Yeah, I was looking at lights you can with solar panels, and they can sell it back to the grid too.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
guys, I kind of want to reel this in. We're creeping up on an hour. If you guys have any further questions, you can email them into support, or you can give me a call directly, or give Avito or Stella a call, and we'll answer them the best we can. I don't want to take up any more of Jim's time, so I apologize for cutting you off, but you guys. Thanks for all the great questions. I think this was a really productive meeting. We've got a lot of answers. Actually, it's kind of given me some hope for the future with this. We haven't really seen a whole lot of movement, so I've been, really trying to advocate this. Thank you again, and thank you, Jim, for running the meeting with us, and thanks, David, for the comments that you made as well, and everybody. You guys all have a great night, and thanks for coming.
Thanks, David.